Yeah, well, the economy's even worse in the mid 70s, so older than that.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I can remember the late '90s boom, the
Yeah.
economic boom of the late '90s, but pretty much from about 2001 on, the economy has been either mediocre or really, really crappy.
Yeah,
That's
we're
almost
fingers on the
20.
scale. Like
Yep.
our good economy now is built on the debt.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well, when a Republican is in office, the first thing the media does is attack the economy.
Hmm.
Because one of the things, you take economics classes, you find this out that the economy is often about as good as everybody thinks it is. Our opinion of the economy affects the economy. The
Hmm.
worst thing for the economy is for everybody to say, "Holy crap, we're about to have a big meltdown. I'm going to pull my money out of the economy. I'm going to sit on my powder." That will wreck the economic system. So every time a Republican is in office, the media instantly transitions to talking down the economy overnight.
Yeah.
Uh, you
And the
know,
same thing when a liberal goes in. It's like,
mhm. Yeah.
economic strength, blah, blah.
The fascinating thing about Obama and Trump both is no amount of cheerleading could save Obama's wretched economy,
Yeah.
because the dead hand of government was just suffocating everything. And it wasn't, I work for a lot of family businesses, good sized companies in many cases, but first generation business owners, entrepreneurial types. My clients did fine during the Obama years, but they did not expand. They sat on their capital, they sat on their powder, they only expanded if necessary because they had a government that was nakedly hostile to them.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm not going to hire a bunch more people. I'll invest in automation, but I'm not going to hire people, not
Yeah.
when the government is promising to make people more expensive.
Well, in my career, we lost everything between 2008 and 10. We lose everything every time. I make millions and I lose millions in
Yeah.
entertainment. And I'm just
Well,
not
sure, because you're deemed to be an optional
That's
expenditure.
right.
you are
Man,
the
and-
fat, Doug. Get
Oh,
trimmed.
man.
You're the fat.
And times have never been better for animators, but man, you get one little turn and we're going to get sobered up real quick. Nick, can you get through more of those super chats? We got to pound through them.
I can, and actually, I've got a special one just for you that came in, Doug.
Oh,
Oh, I don't know if you like it yet, but we'll see. Mr. CPU says, at Doug TeNapel, gay marriage is none of your business. You don't deal with it. Equal rights, secular state. What a worthless opinion. You snake.
ooh, I love it. I love it. Well, redefining words like marriage is none of your business, but thank you for the discussion. And, I'm one of those guys who disagree with you, but we'll fight to the death for your right to express it, brother.
There you
Well
go.
said.
There you go. Bo Stoker. This is going back to the old ones. Bo Stoker says, "Bro, just make a Game Boy Zero." Oh, I got to read this one from Mithrin Emrys. Mithrin is a frequent participant in the show, also a law student who's closing in on completion. So great job. It says the left has convinced minorities to vote against their moral beliefs because the shibboleths of masexism /racism /blank phobia, etc. It is the new form of perpetual servitude because it absolves them of personal responsibility. My party flip worked. So you can imagine the type of time that Mithrin Emrys is probably having in law school right now.
Yeah, have fun.
Based on that chat. Good luck to you, buddy. Good luck. Thank you for the donation. Futanari Jeff Leonis says, Drexel, bro, can I have an N-word with an A pass? Pretty please. I also would like to admit Drexel is one of the rare black guys I find attractive. There you go. Joe Carroll says the whole Vic thing is 100% proof that subs is greater than dubs. So, okay.
What's dubs?
Okay.
Dub, like subtitles are dubbed tracks
Oh, okay.
in anime.
Okay.
Not subscribers.
Oh, I thought he meant subscribers.
No, subtitles versus dubbed English.
No, I'm big on dubbed English. I don't like reading my movies when I'm looking at something visual.
You know, I like to read my movies when I'm on a plane because I never bring headphones that plug in.
Yeah,
So
that's good. That's effective.
Yeah, I always look for like a martial arts flick or whatever. Last time it was a ramen documentary. Right.
Like when I'm watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I'm watching this great Yen Wu Ping kung fu going on. I don't want to read the text at the bottom. I want to hear their overdub and watch the kung fu.
I like
That's
Crouching
my-
Tiger subtitled, actually, but that's
I
me.
know. I like it for the performance, but then when I want to watch the kung fu, it's time to watch it overdub. That's all.
Yeah, you just got to watch it again. Okay, next is God of Plague says Drexel is fun, a good guest. I agree. Nick's 18-hour Z says I'm from the future. Hot tip: coffee. I hate coffee. I don't like it. But I'm on the modafinil now. So now which I have a prescription for. Before anybody complains about that. So we are. That's for the narcolepsy. Now it's kicking in, and guys, the train will not stop for the next 12 hours. Jason Groothouse says, I have no idea who this black dude is, but I love him. He's like the black version of Vox Day. Yeah, Drexel's great. Drexel's great. I think Drexel and Vox would get along swimmingly, too.
Yeah.
No One Important says, you hear about Amanda Wynn Lee and how she accidentally doxed someone? Reviewed by Tug, but man, it was bad. No, I haven't. I'm sure it was a big accident. Amanda Wynn Lee, she's a piece of work or garbage. Choose your label. Scarfy the Strange says, I remember when the story was something you earned. Yeah, that's in video games. Doug, have you noticed that in video games? I was talking with Drexel about this earlier. You used to have to like games were hard and there was a story there. Now
That was the reward.
Now games are like, I think they're so up themselves about the story that they make the game where you have to progress so you can see how great their story is.
Games are stupid now.
And their
Listen to me.
story's garbage.
It is. And that's because games has a poor self-image and doesn't realize that they have a bigger market than movies. And games, it's for a bunch of fanboys who failed at getting into film. So now they're trying to turn games into movies. And so they keep saying like, oh, games are a terrible medium for telling stories. Interactivity is a terrible place. And they keep having to jam it in with characters talking into ear as to what they're doing. And it's like, I'm more like Vasquez from Aliens. Just show me where to point. Just show me where to point and shoot.
Yeah, I'm the worst.
Problem with tabletop games too. Tabletop role playing has had that issue for some years.
Big, thick backstory books, right?
God.
And it's like, get me into combat.
Yeah,
And don't.
can we get to the fighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a game on Steam several months ago and started playing it on Twitch. And saw all these cutscenes. I'm like, I don't ever want to watch these. I just want to play.
Yeah,
that's
press
me.
X. They don't even let you press X on someone. They make you watch the story.
Right.
This B-rate, cinematic
Wasn't there
experience.
a video game out there that got criticized for that because they were having social justice messaging that you couldn't
Oh,
opt
that was
out
Battlefield 5.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Please
Please
women on
tell
the
me
front
that game
lines of World
crashed and
War II.
burned.
That's when they said, don't buy our game.
Battlefield 5, I think is crashing and burning right now. Mainly just it's got the, it's got like the Marvel or DC movie or the Star Wars movie problem where the production of it costs so much. Production and promotion of these AAA titles is huge. They have to make $1 billion to make money.
The budgets are outrageous, and half of it is going to the stupid story stuff instead of the gameplay. I have a real good buddy is programming Anthem right now for EA, and it's having, had a rough launch. And by the way, I don't wish for any of these guys to fail. I'm not root because it's so much work. It's like even a bad film took a lot of work, to do, but they got to wake up and see what they're doing is like. And by the way, all the market is watching the most profitable game of the last couple of years is Fortnite. Like they're just going, we got our pants pulled down by Fortnite.
Well,
yeah,
this is crazy talk, but why not make games that people want to play? I mean, I know that's wild, but
that's what Fortnite is more people are playing, more microtransactions are getting thrown in, and they basically give the game away. And these big guys are caught going, we're becoming an old model. We're becoming an old model.
Yeah, I don't like, it's the inevitable progression is the microtransaction progression of gaming, but I hate it because like you end up spending tons of money on it, but I know why.
Make fun of it all you want. People will spend more on microtransactions than a one-time purchase of a game. It sucks, but the audience is deciding.
And it's ongoing revenue as well. It's like, because on games like Grand Theft Auto has microtransactions as well, but Grand Theft Auto gets released and makes like $1 billion in the first day that it's released. And if you don't have that ongoing revenue, I mean, you front load all of it, and then you have to budget that out for your next production, for ongoing development of the game, bug fixes and maintenance, but then also for the next production of the next product. And I mean, that's just the way it's going to go. That's why Diablo's got a handheld game coming out, which is a nightmare. For gaming, it sucks, but for money, it's great.
And I gave the Diablo 3 guy his first job on Neverhood back in the late 90s. He was one of our interns.
There you go.
And now he's running one of the biggest games.
It's your fault. It's
Diablo
your fault,
3.
Doug.
But the other thing that you'll notice on Fortnite is they went for families. They made it family safe, which there's this big thing against that in games also. If it has to have brutality and the F word in it, Grand Theft Auto and stuff, whereas Fortnite opened up the pie. And I hate Fortnite. I'm not sitting here defending. I'm only saying, look at how the business works. They went for a big pie slice of everybody instead of one tiny pie slice of a few more violent people. So they opened it up to families and opened up the microtransactions, and they're winning. I'm only saying, if your business is to make money, Fortnite just won it last year.
I was at a charitable foundation meeting the other day, and I was the youngest person in the room by 20 years or so, and they had a guy, a mutual, or not a mutual fund, but a fund manager. I guess a mutual fund. He's a fund manager coming in and talking to the board about one of the investments, and their company invests. Their mutual fund invests very heavily in emerging markets, and one of those is video games. And so here he is explaining that the League of Legends Championship is higher viewed than the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And
wow.
And the crazy thing is, like, that's Asia isn't even fully open to. Gaming is huge in Asia, and professional esports is huge in Asia. It's getting big in the US, but it's not even fully there. And there's so many people who are into it. And we've got these ideas about like how big American sports are. And I mean, they pale in comparison to the market potential that's coming as Asia starts getting more and more phones, as computers become bigger. More widely accessible in some of these very populous, very densely packed nations that are also focused in on this medium. It's not like a taboo medium over there. It is a medium.
Even the Super Bowl needs to see who's the number one company buying their ad space. And it's the Kate Upton video and all those, the gaming videos with Arnold for these free game apps. I mean, and that's the other thing is, like, if you walk through an airplane, look at what everyone's playing on their phones. What are most people playing on their phones? Candy Crush.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's not Call of Duty. It's the casual gamer making their transactions. Candy Crush. I don't care what you think of the game. I'm looking at the business.
Stop talking, Doug. I hate that.
I know. I hate you. Can't handle the truth. Gamers can't handle the truth.
Blaine20, this question is for Ty. Are you into MUDs at all? Ty, did you ever play MUDs?
No. Those became a big deal right after I got out of law school and I had a job to do. So I never really got into them.
They're great. Doug, are you familiar with MUDs?
Yeah, aren't those text-based kind of gaming?
Yeah, they're the basis of all of the modern MMORPGs.
Now, I love MMORPGs a ton, but I'm just an old boomer, so I like old Command and Conquer, kind of real-time strategy stuff. And I never got. That's the other thing is, remember back in the old days when the story would come up, because they couldn't afford much space on one of these cartridges, they would just have an image and a bunch of text telling you a story.
Yeah.
Skip, hit X.
Yeah, press it. press the button so the text would go faster if they wouldn't
Yeah.
let you skip it.
Yeah, those are for anime fans, not for me.
Bad Player
I
says,
remember playing Colossal Cave back in 9th grade in 1979. That was the original text-based adventure game.
Yeah.
is that the one from Big? The Tom Hanks is playing in Big?
It was called. There's one called Gort or something like that, or Zork.
Zork.
Oh
Zork,
my
well,
God,
yeah,
I
Zork
hated
was,
that game.
Well, Zork was kind of an expanded version of Colossal Cave. Colossal Cave was originally written on a mainframe in the mid 70s, I think, and it slowly, promulgated. The programming language that we were using on this particular computer was called SAM76, I think. Anyway, but yeah, it was pure text based. You're standing in front of a house. Do you want to go north, south, east, or west? Take bag.
Yeah.
Take
Hey,
knife.
for months I downloaded Smashy Road on this thing, this little kids thing, of these little Lego looking, Minecraft looking cars where you crash into cop cars and you just get points. I spent a
That's
month
how
on
real
that.
life works too.
I spent a month on that having fun. I'm going, man, I don't care what the story is. This is
Yeah,
fun.
my main video game obsession is Civilization.
Yeah.
'Cause
And I got to
while
get into that, Ty. I got to
Yeah.
get into Civilization. I already
the
know.
remarkable thing about Civ is every single version has been excellent. They're on version 6 of that game. Every version, it's like, wow, I don't think you could improve this, and yet they've managed to. I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing. Normally they'll go 2 or 3 versions for a game and then it'll crap out. But every version has been better than the previous. And the
That's my
previous
kind
was
of
excellent.
game.
Yeah, it's but there's no story, right?
That's my kind of game too.
You're conquering the world. There are screens, diplomatic screens, but you can avoid all that, and I turn all that off.
I don't
pretty
like the combat in Civilization, so I stopped playing it
Yeah,
because it's just a stack.
Have you
That's
played
right. You drag and drop a.
Have you played Civ 6 yet?
No.
Okay, Civ 6 gets away from that. You now have 1 unit per hex, no stacking. So you don't have the big piles of units or anything like that. The combat's always been a little bit abstracted.
All you do is pick
In the Civ
America
games.
and get to Apaches, and then you win.
Yeah, actually, I like China. Believe it or not, I like China. I build the massive economic engine. That's my Civ approach. And
China.
So, and so I
China.
wind up with with modern armor in 1700, and then I conquer the world.
There you go.
But China has a huge advantage in the ancient time period, which if you do it right, you can expand on that. But yeah, Civ 6 is awesome.
Bad Player says shmups are the only game that have stayed hard. I don't know what shmups are. Gene Saintfort says, what about Smash TV? Smash TV is a great game. Basically, Running Man was either based on Smash TV or Smash TV was based on Running Man. Very, very difficult. Maybe
And similar
Drexel and I
gameplay to
will play that.
Robotron. It's a top-down two
Robotron
controller
was
shooter.
awesome.
Oh, now that was a
Yeah,
classic
and I
game.
finished Smash TV at the arcade, so I'm a Smash TV. My kids and I play it. They have a great. I don't know if it's on the Williams set that you can download, but you can download like a library of games on the PlayStation, and Smash TV is one of them that we played all the way through again.
Yeah, that's a tough game.
Win money.
Big money, big
Big
prizes.
Yeah.
I love it. E.M. Dubois says, I recommend the Xenoblade Chronicle games for Wii, U, and Switch for their stories, lots of depth, plenty of feels. Bob Newby, Lord of Noobs, says, Einhinder was hard AF. Yep, it was.
That's the Robo guy, right? Like the 3D Einhander is the kind of Robotech looking guy in the low end 3D on the PlayStation 1 I played.
Yeah, and you got the ship that could have like the one gun on top and the one gun on bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
hard as heck. I remember that. That's obscure. Einhander.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier because it's one of those few games that made it to the 32-bit generation that was still difficult, like legitimately hard. Next is Hokage78 says, The Immortal is the hardest NES game from my youth. That is a tough game. Talbot Link says, Guardian Legend, bullet hell stages combined with action RPG overworlds was good stuff. Cold Fusion Waffle says, the arcade ports kept in the some profane word. You give me more quarters mechanic. Oh yeah, yeah.
Altered
F
Beast.
you.
Altered Beast was a good port from the arcade to cartridge.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
That
when
was
it
a
came
weird
with the
game in general.
Yeah, you can turn into a monster, and yeah.
Side-scrolling beat 'em ups is like they're trying to bring back some of them, which is cool.
Yeah, the guys that did Alien Hominid, the Castle Crashers. My kids, I watched them play that game. 4-player, left to right, chop everything up. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Let's see. Next is Iron Mater says Winnie the Pooh home run baseball. Troom2CH2 says Mick Kids and Yo Noid, good marketing games. The Noid was that 7-Up? Avoid the
Dominoes.
Noid?
No, that was Dominoes.
Dominoes.
Back in
I
the
worked
day.
for the company
Wow.
that did that game. That was the first job I ever had. And then the McKids one became Global Gladiators, the McDonald's game. That was the engine that Earthworm Jim was based on. That was the Earthworm Jim team before I joined them. Did the McKids Global Gladiators game for McDonald's, and a great playing game.
There
so
you
see,
go.
we're all tied. We're all connected.
6 degrees of Nick Rekieta.
Hokage78 says, will you do a warpless run of Battletoads? No. Oh my god, the Fire Zone 2-player? Kill me. And Musid says, watching the stream modifying mags. Good job, buddy. Gene Saintford says, what spider anxiety? I have no idea. Farrell Owen says, Drex is mistaken. The hardest genre of game is SNK fighting games like King of Fighters. Ignis, Rugla, Grease, Chrysalid are names that will haunt me forever. Those games are tough. Those old the Neo Geo games, man.
Yep.
By SNK. Woo. Taki Onsai says, at Decida should draw Drexel. She'd catch his image. Destro says, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, hardest game ever. We were having a discussion about video games, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
I like the Spike Man says, don't agree with the Kang, just grow a spine, men. Date your sister. Caradon Schuster says, Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom. Oh, tomato, I guess. I'm so used to reading things in like Japanese.
Tomato, like Yamato.
Like Yamato, yeah. Oh, by the way, Ty,
Yes?
Funimation is releasing, just got a new Star Blazers Yamato thing.
Yeah.
The remake.
So, yeah.
I'm having Landon Mackinjames on my show. We're going to do the original Star Blazers, the first 2 series. He's going to give an overview. We're going to talk about it because that was a big influence on me as a kid. That's the only connection
Yeah.
I found with Landon was that show. So we're going to do a deep dive on it on my channel. I'm
That
bringing
would be
Landon in.
cool. Get into the changes they made, you know, when they translated it basically to the U.S. market. I'd be real curious because, that was, I mean, I was in junior high when that show came out. And it
Me
was
too.
very,
I saw it in 1979. It was brought to America and originally done, I think in 1974 was the first season. Just a great story. That first season, going to Iskandar and all that, and Derek Wildstar, I think the guy's name is, or something,
Captain
and
Avatar.
Captain Avatar on the Argo and the wave motion gun and Cosmo DNA. Great story. I watched every episode of it in 8th grade. Big influence on me. In fact, I'm working on a book right now about a big kind of cargo ship in space that I'm sure somewhere back there, Yamato and Star Blazers was an influence.
That's literally my only anime interest. And this new series they came out with a few years ago, where they're telling the same storyline and everything, but with modern animation. It's gorgeous. And it's really well done. But there is that little, twinge of having to give Funimation any money. But I'll get it back from them later, so I guess there's that.
When you win, yeah.
Guys, I'm going to have to run. She who must be obeyed is flagging me. Apparently, I have something I've got.
Family man, Ty. Got to be a family man.
Thank
to be a
her
man.
for your
I was
time
disallowed
from me.
from broadcasting from the kitchen because the kitchen is messy, and I don't think we'll see the kitchen. But anyway, I enjoyed it. Nick, I might drop back in later now that I've mastered this super sophisticated technology. But
Yeah, you've got the link and it should be good. If not, just text me and I'll get you a new one if I have to change or something.
Doug, it's very good to meet you too, sir.
Ty, it's my pleasure, man. You're a man in full. Man in full.
Thank you. Good luck for the rest of the day. You're a pro, Nick. I know that you have this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We'll see about that in 13 hours.
Yeah, that I'll definitely be watching that.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Nick, you got to get some carbs in you if you're going to make it, man. You have to eat 3 meals a day.
Well, I'm waiting for my guest and my wife to wake. Hey, there she is.
Lady Rackets, Miss Rekieta.
They can't see you unless you come here or here. Here's the only one. Hi. Good morning.
Love.
Hi.
You smell nice.
I showered yesterday.
Nice.
He means especially compared to him.
I know, right? Awkward.
Yeah. Hi.
You look lovely, Miss Rekieta. You look lovely.
Thank you. I showered.
Good girl. Good girl. We got that. Check that box off for the day.
Yeah. Well, actually last night, but it's all good.
There's the there's jalapeno cheddar. That'd be great.
That's what you want?
I don't know what else to eat. If you
make
want
him.
To.
He's got to get some breakfast in. If he's going to make it to 11 o'clock tonight, and you can eat and jam and I'll run the show.
No, Doug, I can't leave this. I can't leave this show in your hands.
No, you can eat right there on camera. Just turn your mic off and eat.
Yeah. We'll do that.
Doug will talk.
Lady Rackets, I had her sitting right here next to me on my show. That's one of my highest rated episodes still is with you two on that night. It was fun.
You made me famous, Doug. You made me famous.
Yeah.
You're so good. You were good. It was funny. That was a good night. I barely remember the second half of it.
Yeah.
I had a lot in me.
Yeah, whatever's good. Whatever.
Okay. So is that one guy bringing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to? On my phone?
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Oh, family. So good.
Okay, back to some of these
Back
chats.
to super chats. You got to get through these. What time are we at now? What hour of the morning are you at?
Well, no, he means what time super chats.
He's getting caught up.
2:11 a.m.
Go. You got to pound these. You're not going to get through them otherwise. Go.
That's what she said. Woodman Gaming says, I just want to put it out there. Not all single moms are created equally. I was raised on the straight and narrow by a mother who didn't hold men as evil. Yeah, and I think Drexel probably clarified that later, that he was talking about, you speak in generalities and there's always exceptions to those generalities. And much credit to the people who are able to get past those generalizations. Ike 13D says, I got a hard game for you. Just hear me out on this because it's going to sound weird. Echo the Dolphin. No, I'm aware. That's actually not an easy game at all.
And Ed Annunziata is the Sega guy who's a friend of mine who brought that to America too. So I've worked with that guy back in the Jurassic Park days.
Aren't you cool, Doug? Worked with all these
Aren't
people.
I? Don't I know everybody?
You know who I worked with? I worked with a guy named Archie who I watched pick a half-smoked cigarette up off the ground by a garbage can and put it behind his ear for later. And I think the cigarette got more disgusting going behind his ear than it was by the public garbage can. So.
Oh yeah, when I cleaned the fat tanks in high school, which is 120-degree molten cow fat in a septic tank underground, and my coworker was Richie, who was a high school dropout, and he would brag about having sex with his aunt. And he was so hungover as a drug addict that he would throw up on himself and go straight up in the air and it'd go down on his hair. That was my work experience senior year.
Wow.
And I realized I got to get out of this town if I'm going to make it in the arts.
Yeah, but I worked at a movie theater. How's that?
That's good. That works.
Oh.
If you were forced to see Mac and Me 18 times, that counts.
No, I worked during the release of Titanic. It was worse.
Yeah, 18 times.
Let's see. M says a large-scale push for individualism, personal responsibility, and competency will destroy collectivism. Well, hopefully. We just need a large enough scale. Problem is independent people aren't collective, so we don't do large-scale pushes.
That's right.
We just put our nose down and work. Joseph Kerwin says we're losing the gender war, gentlemen. The tit gap is ruining us. More traps now.
It's a trap.
Lord Logan says Battletech was brutal. Base Black Man got a tube. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Would be great. Architect of Fate says, who's higher on the scale? Muzzies or traps? I guess he means Muslim people or traps. I don't know if they know the answer to that. That's the progressive stack, right?
Yeah. On the intersectional.
Right.
War.
I don't know if Muslim or trans are higher, but they're both up top. Both
Trans
up
are
top.
higher right now.
Would Slanesh win the oppression wars, or would the Deo diversity god beat the living electric dragon dildo? I think no, I think that the Tau diversity god wins. I think so. Jason Groothouse says Dayummy's cracked the 5D chess code. And then he follows up, Nick, I promised to remind you to check the oven and forgot. Well, I guess that's not good. Narcticon DM
I guess the house is burned to the ground. Thanks.
Yeah. Narcticon DM says Monica's caught more balls than Johnny Bench. I don't know what that means. Doesn't sound good though.
Well, I have no idea. No idea what that means.
Asia Frazier says downward angle hides the double chin. Yeah, that's the selfie thing that the women do to stretch out the neck.
Yep.
And it's
and
not,
pout the lips and shrink the body and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
emphasize
good.
the eyes is big. Okay.
Woodman Gaming says Monica be looking like the embodiment of midlife crisis. Ooh. Spicy Orihara says I need to keep refilling my screwdrivers while listening to this stream tonight. I haven't gone this hard in a long time. I blame both of you. Oh, sorry, buddy. You must mean like the drink screwdrivers, not like
not the tool. That could not mean the tool. That's orange juice and vodka. Last I checked, right?
Yeah. I had
that'll put you down quick. By the way, the orange juice is optional.
I had a teacher who would he talked about what they would do when they were kids, and they would take a hypodermic needle and a syringe, and they would load it up with vodka, and they just inject it into an orange, take that to school, and then after a couple hours they'd open that up.
Oh, that would work.
It was good that he was telling us how to get liquor into school. That was great.
Yeah, good tutorial there. Thank you.
Jay says, would a prenup be good for protecting resources? Yeah. I mean, if that's what you're looking to do, if you have resources to protect, and that's the hard thing about, I don't envy anybody who makes their money before they get married.
Yeah, that made it easy for me. And by the way, I'm way against prenups. Way against them.
I'm
Just
not.
because,
But
I know you're not. You're a lawyer. Of course you're not.
Yeah, but I don't actually like them for most people. Just I think there are times where, these guys will go out, they'll do something crazy, they'll make a couple $1 million early on in their career, then they want to settle down. They didn't meet this person till after they made a bunch of money, or they get revisited by an old flame after they made a bunch of money. That's where it's like, are you sure? Are you sure you're doing this right?
I know, but if you're going into a marriage saying the two will become one flesh, and then you say no, because actually I'm going to keep this part of the flesh separate, then it's anti-marriage to go into a prenup. You literally are merging lives, and that would have to include finances. So if I ever asked a girl to marry me and she said, first sign this prenup, I'd go, that is not the definition of marriage. And so any guy, even with his giant kingdom before him, who's not willing to make that statement, I don't think he's really ready to truly marry this person where the two become one flesh, and even be willing to subject yourself to a gnarly splitting of your empire. That's the burden of being rich.
There you go.
That's my principle. I totally get it. The protection thing. Seen my friends just lose half of everything and just destroy their lives over it. But they preserve the definition of marriage to make themselves more vulnerable.
Doug, your purity of marital definition is admirable. Because not everybody has it.
Yeah, and
Obviously,
these days it's so perforated. What's it even mean? I mean, once you had no fault divorce, I mean, what's it even mean?
right. So then that's a question. That's an interesting philosophical question. If you have no fault divorce, then do you have pure marriage? Then should you be worried about having like the purity of it having the prenup?
You screwed the pooch about 40 years back. It's like, yeah, why not do a prenup? And why not, while you're at it, marry 3 people?
Yeah, well, there you go.
Why stop?
Because
Why
3
stop
divorces
at
is really
financials?
expensive. That's why.
Yeah, there's a lot more childcare to your harem, your maternity costs for paternity suits.
Slick Rick says, I love divorce. It might mean more money for me. No, I don't. I hate divorce, and I don't do divorce cases because you cannot find people who hate each other more than when they're going through a divorce and need a lawyer.
Yeah, and like Ty said, it's a real opportunity for a lawyer to come in there and use their hatred and vulnerability of another person in a tough spot.
Yeah, I don't like it. So no,
Yeah.
no, you won't.
I think, and we both like divorce when there's abuse involved. Of course, we like divorce. My problem is when there's 2 people who are kind of normal, they have one disagreement, and suddenly they're all pro-divorce. That's when it bugs me. Is the non-justified divorce is what I hate.
Sure. Grandmaster Enclave. I worked for a grocery store on night shift, and I can say it's true, but the only beautiful lady that comes in is a hot sheriff lady. There you go. I don't remember what's true, but something is.
I have seen beautiful ladies in uniform. I've seen them, quite a few of them. Go ahead.
Dmitry Annenkov says, Drexel is cool. He reminds me of MC Ride. Also, I got a better Scully. Asia Fraser says, by the way, it's Asia. Oh yeah, I think Drexel must have read your name wrong. I've gotten it right from the start. I'll say the problem isn't that there are no good men. The problem is no men, like they're an endangered species. Overpopulation of women. So there you go. 93 TJ says, so Drex, be honest, how bad did X give it to you? X is probably getting well, he got given to bad by the government for not paying his taxes.
Ooh.
That was not good.
Which is theft. Taxes are theft anyways, but go ahead.
Taxes are theft, but then they're theft that you have to abide by. Otherwise you get your liberty thefted. You
will kiss the ring.
Yep. Mark
C. You will mourn hard over Kim Jong-un's death. You're not mourning hard enough. Go ahead.
Mark C says, I knew Stormy Daniels when she was Stephanie before the makeup and fake boobs was still was a very cute girl. I've actually no, I was thinking of someone else. Never mind. Woodman Gaming says, Drex, your thoughts on Dead Space? I'll have to ask him if he ever wakes up again. Angel of Death is hiding says, have you heard about Vampire Masquerade getting a sequel? Yeah, I have, and I've heard it's a social justice nightmare, but who knows? Isn't everything these days a social justice nightmare? I like the Spike Man says 5K at 2:30 a.m. Good job, Nick. Fully full liver effed. Cis filled get pushed kick Vic. I don't know what 90% of that means.
Full liver, that's got to be alcohol.
Yeah, but it says bully full.
Belly
liver
full,
effed.
belly full, liver effed.
It might be belly full, but
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He misspelled. His belly's full and his liver's effed.
Yeah. Chris Nemo says Resident Evil 7 is greater than Resident Evil 2. Make Drexel your Resident Evil 2 remake. Drexel, your taste is crap. Brett Wyatt says the way Kojima was treated by Konami is eerily similar to how Funimation is treating Vic. Cold Fusion Waffles. Only downside to Resident Evil 2 remake, no marshalling yard. Legendary Devil Hunter Dante says DMC Devil May Cry holds a special place in my heart. I imagine so with your name there. Cypher Warrior says Crystalis for NES was a great RPG for the day. Architect of Fate says Suikoden 2 is still my favorite game of all time. 50 plus hours of gameplay in the 90s with a heavily involved story and wonderful hidden mechanics.
I haven't heard of any of these games.
Me. I've heard of some of them, but I don't never played
I haven't
any.
even heard that title, so that's weird.
Richmeister84 says, "You, sir, unalive yourself is YouTube friendly. You can tell people to unalive themselves on YouTube." VH&E, thanks for the donation. Maury Kessler says, Terranigma on SNES, best game ever. I've never heard of Terranigma either.
Me neither.
Dark Fang 117, Halo 2 and 3 are favorites and special to me. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Painful Buggery says, check out the Chrono Break trailer. I'll have to watch that later. I assume that's a Chrono Trigger sequel.
Chrono Trigger.
Schwanz Gruberman says, BioShock is still one of my favorite games due to the politics and atmosphere, and Drexel, Nick's right, Heavy Rain can tongue punch AIDS-ridden fart boxes.
Oh my.
That's a strong opinion on that one.
Yeah, that was a lot of words.
Richie Gonzalez, how far are you in Devil May Cry 5, Nick? I'm still at the first boss. I haven't played it since because I don't have time. I like
because you have a life. Oh,
you can barely.
Yeah, I can't play games. I have a job. I gotta make Earthworm Jim comics. I gotta make Bigfoot build garbage. I gotta work. I can't
Come on,
play
Doug.
games. How are you supposed to stream an entire series, like get caught up on Walking Dead and have a job?
I don't know. We stopped watching TV because it became a chore for us.
Yeah.
We had like Hulu and not video on demand, the DVR. It was like, well, we're gonna run out of these things, are either gonna expire or we're gonna run out of space. So it was like literally get the kids to bed. Now we have to watch this, and this tonight. Yeah. And I hated
and
it.
There's no bigger turd than them saying like, bro, just get through episode 4 and then this series really takes off. I'm like, I'm not going to go through 4 episodes, 4 hours before Game of Thrones kicks in or whatever. It's like, I don't care. I'm going to draw a comic page.
There you go. Yeah. That's the weird thing about, I assume your work. That's what I like with the YouTube thing. I enjoy working like this.
Yeah.
I would rather do this than play a video game most nights.
Yeah. And by the way, if your audience is showing up, at 5,000 and 2 a.m, then they'd rather watch than play video games. That's pretty
Well,
big.
they can watch and play video games.
Yeah.
Because they're very talented people.
True.
If I watch something and play a video game, I'm just dying constantly at both. Okay, so this is TLJ Screwjob says, Ghost Stories anime. Did so bad in Japan they just wanted money. Told Dub they could say anything. Girl talking to a possessed rabbit said, I now know why we could never be together. Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my goodness. What a terrible thing. TLJ Screwjob then says, speaking of cosplay, Jessica Nigri, some of her cosplay is really detailed and cool while being kind of sexual. Others, like her Score Bunny cosplay, in which she has a micro bikini and a hoodie with bunny ears on it, is pure thoughterry. I still enjoy it, though. There you go.
Cosplay.
All Might 89 says, my favorite ASMR is playing Halo 3 while listening to Linkin Park while your parents fight in the next room. Really brings me back.
Oh.
Oh, so Doug, this is, I don't know if you have a problem like I do. When I was in college, I was playing EverQuest a lot.
Sure.
And so I'd play EverQuest on my computer in my dorm room, and then I had my Xbox plugged into my TV, and that I would use to play System of a Down.
Sure.
A System of a Down album. And now I can't listen to that album because I see, like, my brain flashes and I see EverQuest. I have flashbacks to play it.
Yeah. Never gonna be wake up. Your brain does make ties to what you see visually. My thing is, if I play a game, I'll play games like 12 hours straight. It might even be like some sim game where you run your own zoo or whatever. And the repeating animation burns a cycle in my head. And when I go to sleep and close my eyes, I see the cycle burned into my, whatever my retina and my brain memory is. And the same thing with your feeling when you do first person shooters, right? And you're zooming, you're doing the zoom thing going through hallways. And then when you close your eyes at night and you're in a resting state, your brain will just keep repeating it out of habit of you doing constant zooming through in 3D through hallways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So your brain is an amazing tying machine. And it's why you can really jack your brain up on drugs. You can jack it up by looking at too much porn. You rewire your brain depending on what you do. You reprogram it. So you want to always reprogram your brain to do things that you believe in, like hanging out with friends, having laughter with friends and things like that is very good rewiring for the brain. And it's why I'm a little pessimistic about where our culture is going, because I see people, what we're rewiring our brain to do is check this is me every 3 seconds. And, putting your brain into a tube and checking texts and even making judgments of masses of people based on this little tiny window. It's kind of anti-human and not always good for us. So I'm trying to practice more real life connection with friends and talking to people about more elevated things rather than reprogram my brain to be in internet fights and looking at porn and playing games that are virtual achievement instead of real life achievement, that kind of stuff. Go chop some wood.
You know what reprograms my brain?
What's that?
When I either go on a long run or mow the lawn.
Yeah.
On a riding lawnmower, and because I have several acres of land to mow, and then I stop, and my brain keeps trying to process the movement of either of those activities, and it really screws with my mind. I hate it.
Yeah, first time I did a treadmill at the Y when I was jogging on a treadmill, and I got off that thing, and I was still feeling like I was just going forward, and the ground was moving under me. That was spooky.
Next is TLJ Screwjob says August Ames killed herself because she was accused of homophobia for not wanting to do a scene with a gay actor. Yep, we covered that earlier.
It's terrible. Crappy
Post says Keanu Reeves might not be the greatest actor, but he's the greatest celebrity ever. I still have not heard anything negative about him as a person. He just makes me smile. Also, The Room with Tommy Wiseau is like the greatest movie ever made. Fight me. I'm not fighting you on that one, buddy.
Those are all true statements.
Next is, where are we? I like the Spike Man says, love the haircut, Nick. Drex, you it up. Okay. The previous super chats are jokes. 6 fingers are no fun. Swans Gruberman says, Drexel, right on this. MGS is Metal Gear Solid is awesome, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is my favorite. So Drexel, if you remember the game, can you scream Otakon like Snake? I don't know if he can or not.
Otakon. Don't know what he's talking about. This? Are you eating?
Ooh.
Breakfast?
Oh, look at that.
Thank you.
Did you even see that? Oh, I didn't know I was on screen yet.
I could smell it. Look at that glass of milk, cup of milk.
I wasn't hungry until I smelled that. Now I'm starving.
There you go. I brought yours.
Thank you. Woo.
Anything else?
For now.
Like bread or?
Not right now. Thank you.
Okay, turn the sound down and scarf, and you give me a subject matter to rant on, and I'll give you deep. Of course, I could bring up the chat so I can actually read the chat.
You can do that.
I can answer even the non-paying chat. Let me get in your channel here. Sorry, I'm not even looking. I'll take care of it, buddy.
Sure. Well, I'll fill for just a little bit while you get prepped, and then I'm gonna also run to the bathroom again. That'll be great.
Yeah, you take care of business. We'll get through it.
Yona Hual says single player betas best game was Quake 3. Quake 3 was a good game. JMF says the original idea for the blackouts in Heavy Rain was dumber. They were meant to be a psychic connection between the dad to the killer. Oh, how embarrassing that was your story element. Majin Wiabu says Dark Souls, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and Ocarina of Time again.
Ocarina of Time. This is that's obscure, man. When they're doing SpongeBob. Okay, I got the super chat popped out. I'm going, buddy.
Are you going to read through super chats or are you going to read regular chats?
If I see a super chat, I'll do a super chat from here forward, and I see one for £5 right now, so I got it. Although they may not be super chatting to me, if it's for you, you'll have to go back over, because here's to Nick Rekieta for £5. Drunk attorney, keep throwing those objections and shutting these tools down. Thanks for your super chat, Omega Ben, for £5.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go. We got to take care of business here. Here's Jersey Devil. God, please do not let him rant unchecked. Yes, it's not going to be that kind of a rant. Food or we riot. Here's Matches Burn. Doug is going to give you deep, Nick, real deep. Here's Brosidine 1138. Lady Rackets is the real most valuable player. That is correct. Here's Dink Suckler. Oh, that name. He needs some Zero Ultras. And lots of great comments about the lovely Lady Rackets, who really is a wonderful person. I agree. Here's Eisenboren. Rekieta Law, where's the monster low carb to go with your boomer breakfast? It already is kind of monster low carb, if you think about it, by definition. Not the drink, but the food, because I saw eggs on the plate and a cup of milk. I think that works for me. Let me keep getting shot up on all this stuff. You guys, this is where you don't have to pay for a super chat to get me to read it. So just put it in all caps or something, or ask a question and we'll go there. There's Alex saying, hey, Doug. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Here's Jersey Devil. Oh, God, no. Please, no. I like this guy. But no, please don't let him be alone. I love it. Here comes. You've got a foreign agent on the show here. Here's Arch Geek Doug. Tell us about Sock Baby. Sock Baby is a live action kung fu comedy short that I started in 2004. It has I co-wrote it and co-directed it, and it's got our last episode had animation by Justin. The guy who did Rick and Morty is an old friend of mine. I had Rob Schraub, who did the Sarah Silverman show, and Scud, the Disposable Assassin, is in it, and he's an old friend of mine. I had John Heater from Napoleon Dynamite is in it. Doug Jones from The Shape of Water is in it. We just got together with a bunch of friends and made stupid kung fu comedy. That is Sock Baby. Let's move on to... Here's John Hellman. Read us freeloader chats. That's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to the freeloaders now.
Hold on, I'm gonna ASMR some pork chop for you guys. Here we go.
Yeah, get that on. Document it.
Oh wait, I have the noise gate on. You can't even hear it.
I can. It's silent.
I'm a stealth chewer.
Get that.
Never mind. Just keep going.
Okay, yeah. Find something louder to eat. How's that? Then a pork chop's too subtle. Here's Shane's Chair for $5. Shane's Chair, thank you for your super chat. Please adopt me, Doug. I can't take it anymore. All right, I'll file the paperwork. Here's Altiera, who play some hardcore porn, Doug. All caps. Thank you. Curono, Doug Tenaple, do you own Earthworm Jim, the TV series? I do not. That is, I believe, owned and controlled by either Interplay or that would be Universal, who did the rights back then.
Interplay. I haven't heard of Interplay in so long.
They're hanging on, man. They got the Earthworm Jim rights. Lord of Vapor at Doug Tenaple. Daddy, can I suckle your toes? Lord of Vapor? No, son. Here's Raven Z Black. Hello, Doug. What inspires you when you create your comics? I think the thing that inspires me is what inspires a lot of people who create. It's kind of feeling like there's a gap in the world of culture that needs my stuff, so I'm going to fire this one through, is kind of what I think. Adrian Reynolds, your thoughts on Knights of the Old Republic and there possibly being a movie trilogy. Is that the Ryan Johnson side movie? No, that's got to be a different one.
Knights of the Old Republic was that it was set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. I'm not real big on the extra canon stuff in the Star Wars universe, like the novels and all that stuff. I just like the original trilogy.
How is Disney going to keep monetizing it with a new movie every year, plus a supplemental movie every 9 months if they don't start digging into the video game IPs to pull out more garbage?
Well, and they have to take care of their core property too, because if they abandon those fans and get off of that main stuff that really united us all behind Star Wars, I think they're going to split the fans, and they're not going to be able to get the money out of it they think they're going to get out of it. Like they're in for something else. Here's deleted account for $2. Thank you for your super chat. Deleted account. Trent Reznor did the soundtrack for Quake. I did not know that. Cool. Here's Andy Astley, all caps. Doug, why is Bigfoot Bill just a copy of Earthworm Jim with the Kraken just being snot? That is not true, but I appreciate the comment on it. It's all my stuff. Looks like everything I've ever made, including everything I made before Earthworm Jim. That's my style. That's just the way it is. Let's get down here to a $2 super chat from Baron Nathan Dean. Thanks for the super chat, Baron Nathan Dean, $2. This is Australian. Doug, you're a cool dude, but don't tell Nick. All right, we'll keep it our little secret that you're the only person in the world that thinks I'm cool. Here's CK. Doug, what is your favorite passage? I assume that's from the Bible. I want
to know what your favorite passage is from the Satanic Bible.
The Satanic Bible. Anton Zandor LaVey wrote the Satanic Bible. And I would believe it would be something like that. There's no greater holiday in the world than your own birthday. When you start hearing the ideology behind the Satanic Bible, it is you start to see how.
Did you just legit quote it?
Oh yeah.
Because I was kidding.
No, dude, I read the Satanic Bible all the time, and just to study it. It's not even true Satanism. It's the guy who wrote. It's almost like fan fiction.
It's just self-indulgence. That's
Anton. It really is just hedonism.
I think that's what he says, right? Like that there is no, like they're not recognizing a satanic deity. They're just saying that this is the antithesis of Christian thought in every way possible, where it's focused entirely on you and your self-gratification.
Yeah, there's two kinds of Satanists. The kind that I've never even met before are the ones that actually believe in a Satan and worship him, and the other ones that are just kind of normal but angry atheists, just trying to be as anti-Christian as they can be. Is kind of the more.
Do you read the Necronomicon, Doug?
No.
H.P. Lovecraft, do you read any of his stuff?
Just Mountains of Madness.
I like his shorter stuff better than his novels.
I really liked Mountains of Madness.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a classic, but
yeah, I haven't read much else by him.
Do me a favor. Well, do yourself a favor. You have a Kindle or something?
Yeah, I've got, or audiobook. I'll do audiobooks of anything.
Well, for $1, you can get the complete H.P. Lovecraft on Kindle.
Yeah.
And it goes in chronological order, and his stuff from like the 20s and 30s is all like 1 to 5 page reads, and they're fantastic.
I'd rather pay 100 times more and get the audiobook because I will never read. Here's Benjamin Abrams for $2. Thank you, Benjamin Abrams, for $2. Doug, love your work. Tommysaurus Rex was awesome, man. Thank you so much. That's the book that I wrote and drew in 3 months, and Universal paid me $1 million for the movie rights to it. That one worked out probably better than most of my career, I guess. Here's let's see. Here's I got to make sure I don't miss one because these are starting to pile up, and I'm just hand scrolling through these things. Oh man, these guys are coming in hard and fast now. Sorry for the boomerism, guys. Here's Matches Burn, $2. Doug, can you tell us about meeting J.J. Abrams? When I pitched Lost to him, he was a huge Earthworm Jim fan, so they brought me in to see if I was going to write on Lost. And I drew an Earthworm Jim on his whiteboard to prove it. And I'm not going to say more about the weird stuff that happened with him after that. Here's Faded Oblivion for $1.
When you pitched Lost to him,
I was involved with a version of Lost before Lost came around. I did Push Nevada with Ben Affleck a few years before with the head of ABC. And it was when we were kind of hitting around that topic. And it's a long story, but yeah, but anyways, the version of Lost that came out ended up being the same kind of charter that the company gave to me. But because I was working with Ben Affleck, he was kind of running the direction he wanted it to go. So
Okay,
I'm
Ben
not
Affleck or Matt Damon?
Matt Damon. I like Ben Affleck a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a blue collar, hardworking dude, not as twee as Matt Damon, but Matt Damon gets the better roles. How's that?
How about this? Does Geely get a bad rap?
No, Geely really is terrible.
It is bad, but I didn't think it was as bad as they made it out to be.
No, that's true.
The one guy acting like a disabled guy was over the top, and that was bad.
Yeah. The only good Kevin Smith, of course, is Mallrats. So I'm kind of a fan of Mallrats. I'm a little bit of a fan of Jay and Silent Bob the movie, only because I love those characters, Jay and Silent Bob, and Clerks. Clerks is what really turned me on to Kevin Smith, and the rest of it, I just think.
Geely was Kevin Smith?
I thought so.
I don't know. You might be right. I have
Maybe
no idea.
I'm thinking of Jersey Girl. No, because
Yeah,
Jersey Girl was him too, and I didn't like it. I thought Geely was.
Okay, now I got to look it up.
Look it up. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to go out there with that. Here's Faded Oblivion for $1.99. Thank you, Faded Oblivion. Just woke up. Who is this lovely guest and channel? Oh. My name is Doug Tenaple. I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim, The Neverhood, Nickelodeon's Cat Scratch. I'm an Emmy-nominated, Eisner Award-winning comic book artist and video game creator, and Nick Rekieta. I'm a fan of Nick Rekieta and Lady Rackets. My channel, which has had Dick Masterson on and Nick Rekieta, and yes, Maddox, is Doug Tenaple on YouTube. I just mostly talk about video games, comics. I'm a man of faith, and I just love all people. I love interviewing all kinds of people, and that's my channel. And Nick has already thrown me, of my 10,000 subs, at least 1,000 of them were from Nick. But I put on a good show. That's my goal, and just treat people well and talk about comics, and especially Earthworm Jim is what I'm going to start going into this month. Is a huge Earthworm Jim retrospective where I'm playing through the game with the guys who made the level. So tomorrow afternoon is going to be the Heck level with Nick Broody, who designed What the Heck with Evil the Cat. I created Evil the Cat, but he actually did the game design of the level. We're going to be playing through it live tomorrow on my channel. That's Doug Tenaple on YouTube. Thanks for asking. Here's
Geely was Martin Brest.
Okay, I was way off then.
Yeah, Jersey Girl is what the chat is saying that you're thinking of with.
I'm thinking
Kevin
of
Smith.
Jersey Girl, which was the dog that had Liv Tyler in it, right?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
And Chasing Amy was bad. I just think I love Kevin for when he was doing the truly garage stuff on 8mm in black and white. Clerks is a pretty pure movie.
I love Dogma. Man, Dogma is a funny movie.
I'm so on that. And one of the guys who sculpted Earthworm Jim maquette did the shit monster in Dogma. How's that? And Ben Affleck's in it. So see, 6 degrees of Nick Rekieta. Here's Keita for $5 super chat. Thank you, Keita. Asheron's Call was the best. Oh my gosh, you are killing me right now. MMORPG ever. And it's a darned shame how badly? I don't get it. It's a damn shame how badly WD screwed over Turbine and the AC fandom. So one of my team members worked at Turbine on Asheron's Call, and I started playing that game when it first came out. We're talking 89, 2000, 2001. That was the biggest MMORPG that I've ever been involved in, and I played it, Nick, full time for 6 months of my life.
Asheron's Call?
Asheron's Call.
No one should have had to play Asheron's Call for 6 months.
It is one of the greatest games I ever played. I got sucked in. I gave up my life, and I just started playing it online, making relationships online back then. And I finally just said, I can't live my life this way. I have a daughter on the way. So I took the game out of the machine, and I scratched a nickel across it and threw it in the trash. And I've never played an MMORPG since, and nor will I.
That's what I had to do with EverQuest after my second year of college. I had to sell my character and then stop playing it because I was spending way too much time. There was something about those games.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just me, but it's those games of MMOs they've remedied this. the massive amount of time it took to play EverQuest and Asheron's Call
Yeah.
is something that they can't even do anymore. People won't do it. But
yeah, well, my friend still works on EverQuest, by the way. I've one of my best friends from 30 years ago is still generating new art on EverQuest, and they just have a tiny, group of subscribers, and they just keep pumping new content out there, and they're on it for life. And it's a big enough user base to justify their small releases they have to do to keep the content going. So that's true on most of these games. They keep a little pocket of players going on new campaigns, and they just keep monetizing them every month. They just have to keep that subscriber base up, and they're
tell them that bards in EverQuest are the greatest invention of any gaming thing that they've ever made.
Sure. Now, I hated the gameplay of EverQuest. I tried playing it for a while, but I was so stuck on Asheron's Call. I go, this is lame. I'm out. But like World of Warcraft and all that stuff, I would never get involved with that now because I have to stay so productive in my studio. I could never afford to do that.
Asheron's Call had that they had like a unique spell system.
Yeah, that was what they were famous for. Yep.
Yeah, you could like create spells, and then the less people that had access to it, the more powerful it was, or something weird like that.
That's right. It was a great economy. And you would learn word-based spells. Your character would say the spell, and by recombining words, you could actually create your own unique spells. And if you're the only one that could pull it off and use it, it was the most powerful spell. Very cool system. Here's Pongo D for $2. Thank you, Pongo D. Loved Armorcrog. Make a sequel. We're always open to making new stuff. Right now, we're working on a Bigfoot Bill game to give to the backers in the campaign. Bobulski, $4.99. Thank you, Bobulski. Doug, your fat tank cleaning story with Richie the ant effer broke me into pieces. Haven't enjoyed a stream this much since the heel stream. Love, Nick. Yes, that is that story from my senior year, probably my freshman year of college, that was the bottom of my life, and it's been uphill ever since. And I actually think some good manual labor for people in the twee arts especially is really good for character building, and it keeps you very sober about when you do get to work, say as a writer. If you've done a little hard labor, it makes you write a little harder when you do the soft labor, because you don't want to go back to that. Here's Cena the End, $5 super chat. Want a hard game? Try original PlayStation 2 Shinobi, not the PAL version that was made easier. That is true. That's Cena at the end, $5. Thank you for the super chat. Here's Ninja Breadman for $2 super chat. Thank you, Ninja Breadman, $2. Can we get Nick or Doug to cook dinner on stream? Nick, any plans for cooking shows? I hear those are big on YouTube.
Actually, I am talking to my Discord server, my patrons, about doing Patreon exclusive cooking with rackets type stuff. But
what do you cook, bro? What are you good at?
I cook almost everything in our house. I cook a lot of food because I like to cook. Always have.
Well, and any man with 4 kids is slinging hash at some point.
5 kids.
5 days. 5 kids.
Don't you dare drop my child count down.
I didn't want to edit that one out. I'm sorry. I have 4, so I keep going back
down to your level, peon.
I know, right? I didn't quite step up. I should have kept going, by the way, but I got my tubes tied, and I'm waiting for God to untie them by supernatural event. Here's ACDC Burn 2000 for $5. Thank you, ACDC Burn. Jurassic Park video games are why I avoid movie tie-in games. Earthworm Jim was amazing and hard as nails with some of the mini game parts. Thank you, sir. And I agree with you on the Jurassic Park game. It was a little tough that we went in and probably could have made a much better playing game than what we did. That was my first game that I was the lead on, by the way, was Genesis Jurassic Park. Phoenix Lord Asherman for $10. Wow, thank you, Phoenix Lord. I'm curious to know how you feel about demonic characters like Spawn. Ooh. And Todd McFarlane did the foreword for one of my comics in Monster Zoo. He's a big fan. I've noticed a lot of religious people have mixed feelings toward characters like him or Ghost Rider. Phoenix Lord Asherman for $10. I will tell you that I do initially have a problem. Like if I see a pentagram in a game, because we're raised kind of in a postmodernist form of fundamentalism, where they believe that like if there's a pagan symbol on a screen, it actually has some kind of demonic power. That is technically a pagan worldview and not a Christian one. But Christianity, much of it in its ignorance, took in a lot of that thinking. The same thing with like about spells being used in Harry Potter and things like that. The idea that some object or talisman can have actual evil associated with it. Or when I drink beer and my friend who is a teetotaler says, Doug, that beer has demons swirling around in the bottle. That is a form of paganism. And I think our nature actually wants to believe that really bad. There's a similar form of it on the secular world, which is a belief in karma, that when you do good things, you will be rewarded with good. And that's not always true. Sometimes you do the right thing and you go to jail or you die. And the idea that if you get all this money coming in, that somehow God is rewarding you is another form of it. So all of us have this kind of paganism in our head of a reward system, and then we tie it to the supernatural. And that's where I see that coming from. Overall, you know, I see Spawn as literature, and I think it needs to stay in literature. C.S. Lewis had witches and demigods and evil characters in them. Tolkien did. Those are pre-moderns. That's before this fundamentalist form of Christianity came in that kind of really pushed us out of mainstream culture and got us coming over here and creating a kind of protective Christian ghetto. Instead of, we used to way deep into literature and deep into theater, and we don't do that so much. And I think that's a real mistake. I think Christians should be going into these forms of entertainment. They should be going into law to participate and make cases for what we believe, toe to toe with the world.
Okay, hold on. I got an answer for your buddy who says there's demons in your beer bottle.
Yeah.
You say, no, it's not demons in the beer bottle. It's just their urine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Everything's fine.
By that. Well, the other thing that I did for him was he's obese. So he's a conservative. I go, well, what about the demons in your donut? Like, who's more likely to die?
Don't
me
you
drinking
touch
my beer or you eating a donut?
Don't you touch my donuts, Doug. Don't do that to me.
And that reminds me of an old Spurgeon quote when this prudish lady comes up to him because he was smoking a cigar. And she goes, Pastor Spurgeon, where will you put out your cigars in heaven? And he said, oh, in your coffee cup. Deep joke. Okay, go back to your super chats because I'm getting way ahead here in the future, and we should go back to the past to get caught up again. Are you done with breakfast, brother? Did you?
I'm done enough for now. I'm done enough for now. Let's see.
I gotta pace you on that. When you need the break, let me know. I'm gonna go pee. You get through those super chats.
We can get through them. We're gonna try.
We gotta honor the investment people make in your show. We gotta represent. We gotta get caught up, or you're gonna bury those, and that's no good.
I'm wondering if the stream is going to reset in 45 minutes at 12 hours. Because the way
Pound, just speed read, get through the super chats quick.
Yeah. If it does end, guys, don't go. It'll start right back up. Okay, K3K4 says, please beat the 3rd Battletoads level already. Oh, that's the easy one. Asia Fraser says, cut off one head, 2 more shall take its place. Internet Tab says, how about Zombies Ate My Neighbors Hard AF? If you use passwords, you screw yourself out of weapons. Similar with Iron Sword, actually. Like, you can use the password was it Iron Sword or Faxanadu? I think it was Iron Sword. You use a password and it doesn't actually give you what you had. It was crazy. Futanari Jeff Leona says, no guns, no knives. Give me a second. I'm going to go stab some people with forks and sporks. I'm just bad at gaming, so Vagrant Story was very hard for me. Taco Jones, what are your guys' opinions of Jesse Lee Peterson? I think he's great. He cracks me up. That's it. He's very disarming because I think people underestimate him, and he uses that very effectively. A lot smarter than they think he is. Revuel Arvita says, Warhammer Mark of Chaos. I need to find that and load it up. Blaine20. There's a drone training and development company is setting up shop in my 2K pop redneck hometown in Florida. Well, good luck with that. Gene Saintfort says, hey, have you guys played Gunstar Heroes? Not me. Conspiratorial Walnut. KFC taste. It got pressure fried and butt cheeks. Yeah, that's about right. I hate KFC. Really can't stand it. Raycoon86 says, "Hi Nick, this is my first contribution to your show." Oh, thank you very much for that. Thank you for all your hard work and God bless. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure. Snarkticon DM says, "Try Monica Rial's biscuit." Come on, no. 1K1 Nights, thank you for the donation. Forever229 says, "I agree. Blacked has some great interracial scenes." Wait, what? Mark C says, "Frank's Smokehouse in Baton Rouge has the best biscuits." Next time I'm in Baton Rouge, I don't know when that'll be. A Border Prince, Warhammer Lore says, "Younglings, I had carrier pigeons and Roman roads." Kunami 13 Sora says, "The people who want to go to court have never been there before. It's an arduous, demoralizing process that isn't fun for anyone. Also, VA in the industry here. Thanks for the good job you do, Nick." Thank you very much, Kunami. Keep your head down, your nose clean, and weather this storm, man, because it's a mess out there. Steve J says, "I've never seen anyone use a pool table as wall decor." It's not a pool table, that's the vault door. And that is when we have Drexel on the stream, you see the vault door behind him. Internet Tab says 20 years. I don't know what that was in reference to, but true. Jesse N says, "I have a divorce story to end all divorce stories." Man, I hate divorce stories.
Oh,
Welcome back, Doug. Welcome back.
brother. How
Really
can I
good-
help you?
Really Good Chef says, "When I was a kid on Halloween, we had pillowcases and rollerblades to get maximum candy with no adult supervision." Absolutely. That's how it should be.
So good.
Kunami 13 Sora says, "Totally the line is hold your fire. This man is not black." There you go. Snubbirth 13 says, "When the federal marshals arrested my father, I opened the door and they grabbed me and cuffed me and sat me on a lawn chair for my safety. And this was with a search warrant." Lovely of them to do that. They're just doing you a favor. Always remember that. Always remember that they're doing you the favor. Ultadra says, "Hardest game I've ever played is Comic Zone. As far as Twitter goes, I feel everyone should start referring to everyone else as honorable Twitter users. I'm sure that will make people go crazy. I think the Twitter mob will implode." Okay.
That's like Parliament or the honorable Congressman.
Yeah.
Say
When they
the
hate each other's
honorable,
guts.
Renfamous.
Yeah. The gentleman will yield, or the gentlewoman will yield.
Yes.
Blue Samurai Zero says, "We got to stop paying heretics. Rick Warren and purpose-driven type fascism. Bill Hybels, Mark Driscoll, and any and all Hillsong. Rob Bell and emergent type fascism. Tony Jones, Joyce Meyer, T.D. Jakes, Creeflow Dollar, Paula White, Beth Moore, Jay Prince, etc. pattern."
These are all kind of the squish Christians. Just
Sure.
He's calling out. And a lot of prosperity doctrine in there too.
Yeah, I think
Here's
that's
Blaine 20 for $5. Thank you, Blaine. He says, "Doug, I'm at Books A Million. Got any books here I should pick up? If they have Cardboard or Ghostopolis or any of my Newt's books, those would be good grabs." Thank you, Blaine 20. Oh, Hal.
Well, hello there.
Oh, hey, what's up, Jim?
Leave it to the lawyer to come up with the scam on how to make the most super shekels.
Yeah, we just got them all day.
I heard it's been nothing but you for like 11 hours sitting here reading super chats, and
He has about 4 hours left.
I felt terrible for him.
I'm 6 hours behind on them still.
Oh, well, hey, you enjoy that. I actually popped on for a sec. I hope you guys don't mind. I wanted to ask you a question. I don't know if you've seen the Alex Jones deposition that just went up.
I haven't watched it. I saw I saw that it got leaked.
Yeah, it got put up. So at the very end, well, that's actually even more interesting because at the very tail end of it, they had said that they had a confidentiality for 30 days, that it couldn't be released for 30 days. So if this happened after the first, whoever put it up is probably going to be liable for something, I would guess.
Yeah, maybe. That's the hard part of discovery is even when it's supposed to be confidential, things leak. Lots of people work at law firms, especially ones that are going after Alex Jones and that he's representing. And it's hard to figure out who actually put it out.
Well, what I was really curious about, and I just wanted to get your take because you obviously have more knowledge on this than me. During the deposition, when Jones is being questioned and he's presenting, the opposing lawyer's presenting information,
Sure.
he's presenting clips of Jones' show and statements that he had made. But instead of just presenting them individually, giving a little bit of runtime to them, what he was doing is he'd take like 3 or 4 seconds of like a bunch of different clips and then splice them all together. And then he'd throw them at Jones and say, well, look, you said this repeatedly. And it'd be 3 seconds from this show, 3 seconds from this show, 3 seconds from this show. And they're spanned out over the course of maybe, 6 months in between one, 3 months in between another.
Sure.
And I found that very weird. And Jones' lawyers got really upset about it too. And they're like, well, I've never seen anybody do this. And Jones kept, when he was giving his answers, he's like, I don't know how to respond to this because I don't have any context for what I was saying this about. You're asking me, what did you mean with this? And he's like, well, I don't even know what the sentence directly in front of it was or what I said directly after it. And one of the craziest things was, the opposing lawyer went after Jones and said, well, how you didn't do your due diligence. You never researched things properly. You'd get information wrong. You present misinformation. Really hounded him on that. And then as he's presenting these clips of statements that Jones had made, when Jones asked, well, when was this from? And he gave a date, and it turned out he got the information wrong. So the lawyer that put the clips together couldn't even get the information right when he was presenting it to Jones. And I'm thinking in my head, well, how can you go after him over and over again about, presenting misinformation? And that was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And now you're up here and you've worked on this the week prior to the deposition, and you can't even remember the date of the clip that you're playing for him. And so I don't know, is that weird though during a deposition to do that? I can't imagine if you presented a police report that you just present a piece of paper with one line from it and none of the other police, and the whole entirety of the police report is like redacted. Like, oh, I just want to talk about this one line from this police report, but trust me, it's the police report.
Well, it kind of depends on how you're doing the deposition. I mean, if it's from a police report and you ask them, is this a line from the police report? They could just say, I have no idea what's in the police report. I'm not sure. If it's something, did you say this? Did you say this to this officer? I mean, the question is, do they know what you're going to talk about in deposition? Do they know what materials you have? There's typically how these things work out is you serve your initial complaint on someone, and then you go through initial discovery once you get past your preliminary motions. And most lawsuits will go through this process where they go to their initial discovery phase. And so that involves a disclosure of everything you've got and then your request for everything else. So then the opposing side knows roughly what you have and they know what you're after. So then you strategize for depositions like, okay, well, I know they've got this report and they're going to be asking me questions about that. I know they've got, these video clips and they're going to be asking me questions about that. Problem with Alex Jones is he's got so much material. Like you could find anything and have him say, did you say this?
That's what Jones said actually during the deposition. One of his responses was something akin to, well, you have to understand, I do a show, 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. And he kept repeating, well, because this is about Sandy Hook, he kept repeating, well, the Sandy Hook material wasn't even 0.1% of my programming. Right. And this years ago. And he's like, I know that you've been very focused on this, but he said, I haven't gone over every single show that I've done. So it's hard for me to answer your questions if I don't have any context surrounding the clips that you're playing, and let alone when you put 10 different clips together to try to get me to address something.
Yeah, what he wants to do, and this is a mean tactic, and it depends on how hostile the litigation is, but what if he put clips together that weren't Alex Jones's?
Well, that actually, they brought that up because Jones, once his lawyer interjected, and this made the opposing lawyer really angry, by the way, because he's like, oh, this is Texas rules and you agreed to it and you can't give spoken objections. You just have to say one of these 4 things. That's all you can say.
Yep.
But the lawyer kept pressing and saying, these are heavily edited. I've never seen anything like this. This is terrible. And I think Jones picked up on that really quickly because every response after that, he said, I don't know how to respond to your edited clips. And then Jones started pointing out the audio doesn't sound right. He said the audio sounds like it's been edited. And actually, if you listen to it, it kind of does. The volume and just the way it sounds is not. It's different. It's hard to explain, but it does sound a little bizarre.
Yeah, one tactic that a lawyer, I don't know, this would be questionable about whether you could do it, but one tactic a lawyer could certainly do is have an Alex Jones impersonator saying lines and say, "Did you say this?" And then you get them on perjury. Because if they're like, "Well, I must have," right? Sure, I did, but they didn't actually say it because it was something else. Now, a judge might get really pissed off if you do that, but at some level, it depends on what you're trying to establish. But if you're trying to establish that they don't know, that they're frazzled, that the information is not well thought out, I guess you could try and introduce it that way. But now Alex Jones's lawyers are, of course, going to know that that's their tactic, right? So they're going to say, well, they'll be already developing their counter argument for that is, look, he's trying to trip him up by asking him, taking these clips from shows that are 6 years old, clips that may not have even been him. They're trying to establish that he's frazzled. But what person on earth could remember every conversation they've ever had? My client just happens to be conversing with the entire world. Right.
Yeah, and there were a couple other interesting bits. If you get a chance to watch it, it's up on YouTube. I put the links. It's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, I'd love to.
On my Twitter timeline. But two of the more interesting things that came up, aside from the opposing lawyer doing this, was they talked about his divorce, and during his divorce with his wife, he had said that he played a character on the show, and so I think he was trying to establish, well, you're not really news, you're an entertainer. Which is it? Which are you going to go with? And Jones gave a clarifying statement saying, no, people have misinterpreted that. It was talking about a specific clip where I dressed up like the Joker, and it was me trying to explain to the judge that was satire, that I'm not really dressing up like the Joker every day and thinking that's real. And then the other thing was related to the Vegas shooting. I don't know if this has been talked about before, but the opposing lawyer ran into a brick wall because apparently Jones had to sign non-disclosure agreements relating to sources that gave him information that I guess is confidential. And so it was really kind of a weird, Jones got really quiet. He's like, I can't talk about this. There's an NDA involved. I was shown specific confidential information I can't publicly talk about. So it's really fascinating. But yeah, I just wanted to get your take on that because the only other depositions I've really watched are like Gates way back in the day and a few others.
Sure.
But I wasn't used to like seeing somebody. It just felt very bizarre. It seemed like the guy really wanted to get a gotcha moment and he couldn't get it. And so he'd always followed up with something like, well, hey, I mean, just between you and me, right? We'd agree that he always kept trying to get Jones to be, the nice guy routine. Like, come on, buddy, we can be relaxed here. You can just agree with me that you're insane and you did all these terrible things, and just enter it into the record for us,
Yeah, you murdered those children. You did it. You did it. Just agree to it, right? Like that's what they basically want to do. He's their demon. No, I mean Texas deposition rules are wild. Most states' deposition rules are wild. But Texas, yeah, your only objection is you can object to the form of the question, and then you can object to, not much else. In all honesty, and even if you object to form, you typically have to answer the question anyway. So they can try some crazy stuff. It all depends on how hostile it is, and I think if I had to mind game, I guess what's going on with the other lawyer is he thinks right now that he's got a free pass to go after Jones in whatever way he wants because of the public perception of this case.
I'd agree with that. I could see one of the, I guess, vectors he was trying to hit him on. He basically tried to dig into how he verifies his sources. Where are you getting them when you make statements on your show? Right. And then he tried to pin him down on an ambulance statement. And he kept going at it. I'm wondering, okay, why is this guy? He keeps bringing up the ambulance clips of the kid, of the kids supposedly walking around the school repeatedly. Why does he keep bringing it up? Why does he keep bringing it up? And then I got it. So he'd set it up to: are you entertainment? Are you news? Where do you get your information? How do you source it? How do you verify it? And then he finally brings it all home with basically stating, well, you never saw this police report, right? You didn't have this information. You're going off speculation. Now, and then he phrases it: if you had a kid and you found out that ambulances and paramedics weren't allowed into the school to help your child after they were mortally wounded or potentially dead, that would be distressing to you, right? That would cause harm, wouldn't it? It would upset you. So I think what he was trying to do is get it where Jones admitted that he made a statement that would cause distress, right? Like,
Yeah.
you did something that would hurt you if that happened to you, and you knowingly did it. But he took like an hour to do it, right? It just took him forever to get there, and by the time he did, they kept dancing around the wire editing clip stuff. So sorry to derail your stream. I just wanted, I thought it really interesting, and I just wanted to get your take on it.
So sorry for derailing the super chat stream with actual with actual Rekieta law subject matter.
No, the last thing I'd say on that is, it sounds like the lawyer screwed up. If he took an hour to get to that, if that's what he was really trying to get to, and I think I trust your perception on where it's going. I'll tell you when I watch it and if I get a different read. But if he was trying to get there, but he spent so much time trying to either build the fake rapport, and then he ended up blowing it and having Jones's lawyer kind of call him out and signal to Jones, then he may have completely, it may look like a disaster because he may have completely, telegraphed his move too early. And that's a risk if you're trying to play this long game of, look, I'm going to build my trust. I'm going to weasel my way in there. I'm going to get him off on the back foot. And then I'm going to drop the hammer rather than dropping the hammer early. And,
right. That's at least how, I mean, I'm trying to condense like the first hour and a half of it at the very least.
Right.
I mean, it's very long and it really is fascinating. And again, I don't know if it's, I'm going to guess that it's legal for it to be up. I'm going to guess that, because I think it's on a law firm's YouTube account. So I think it's the guys that questioned him that put it up.
Sure.
But I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, both parts are up. Comments are disabled, and it just went up recently, and it's fascinating. So if you guys later on get tired of reading all this super chats and making all that money and want to watch something entertaining for a few minutes, it's really. Oh, and Jones, by the way. I actually I'm starting to think that it's not an act, because like the lawyer asks him a question and Jones just dead stares him and goes, "Well, I'd like to tell you about the psychic vampires."
Oh yeah, buddy.
It was so good, and the room just goes silent as he starts talking about psychic vampires. And I was like, "This is amazing."
So he's either fully committed, or he's like the best. He's got the best poker face on the planet.
Oh, I think, yeah, my guess is his lawyers went in there and they're like, we don't know exactly what tactic they're going to use with you. So we'll just object at the moment we think that's something they think is important. And then you, based on our objection and how firm we press it, that's how you know how to react. I think that was the game plan going in.
Yeah,
so
it's a good game plan.
Yeah, once they brought up the clips, he hit that. And then I think he started to pick up on the, are you an entertainer, are you news? How do you present your information? And like, yeah, the guy throwing out questions asked some wild stuff. I mean, he said, "Oh, you use this guy as a source," and Jones is like, "Yeah, he was a professor. He was on TV. He talked to the news." And he goes, "Well, wouldn't you agree that that man is insane?" And I'm thinking, like, that's a real subjective viewpoint. Like, how am I supposed to agree with him? I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't, speak to his mental faculties. But I think Jones is like, you know what? Let's just talk about psychic vampires. And that was that's amazing.
What a brilliant move, because that's when you go into deposition, you have to assume that you have more information, or at least better information, than the other person, and you're just trying to get to them to trip up, right? That's the whole goal of deposition, because you can't find information that you don't know exists. You either want to get them to put something on the record, or you want to trip them up and get perjured on the record. So you're always assuming that you're a step ahead of the person you're questioning. The problem is, if the person you're questioning literally believes in psychic vampires, you're at an immediate disadvantage, because he has way more woke information than you'll ever possess.
The psychic vampire tactic, forever known now, introduced into law theory.
Oh,
the
no,
psychic
yeah.
vampire.
It was pretty fantastic. Yeah, I think Jones did a convincing enough job at least putting forward the notion that what he talked about, he did believe in. And that the sources that he was using to present the information he thought were believable. But they tried a few different tactics. They tried using his own employees, I guess. Paul Joseph Watson at the time worked there.
Yeah.
And saying, well, PJW would disagree. If I bring him in right now and have him testify, if I get his statements, he's going to say, "You're insane, isn't he?" And Jones is like, "Well, I don't mind control my employees. They can think whatever they like. We normally disagree on things." I mean, he's very calm about it. And he's like, I can't speak for him. You're going to have to fly him out and ask him. So
lizard aliens, Your Honor, the defense rests.
Oh yeah, he talked about David Icke.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
look at it.
He brought up lizard people too during one of the questions.
And this is all getting typed into the legal statements. This is all getting typed in.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's officially accounted as part of the suit, going into our government, into our records of all these lawsuits. It's great.
Man, I can't decide if I want him to believe it or if I want him to be that good. I can't decide.
Well, you can't play a character in court. That's not right to play a character in that. It's legally defensible if he believes it. I mean, that's just a different category than if he's pulling one over and being an actor on everybody, because he has to tell the truth.
No, yeah, he said definitively. Excuse me. He said no. Everything I bring up on the show, everything that I talk about, I believe.
That's right.
He said it's not a character. He said unless I'm in costume or something. That's when he referenced David Icke. He's like, when I'm dressed up as a lizard person, then that's obviously satire. But if it's just me at the desk talking, I really believe what I'm saying. And he was very firm about that. So I think his lawyers probably coached him well before he went in there. And I think the guy asking the questions probably got a little overzealous and thought he could really, work some kind of magical, Matlock kind of technique. You know what I mean?
Who's going to win a war for your mind?
Yeah,
the
real
Columbo tactic.
Yeah, just one more thing.
Down.
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. No, man, I gotta watch it. I saw it. And of course, the way I found out about it was I swiped left on my phone and got the list of headlines. And it was from a predictable publication, I don't even remember what it was, Vox or something. And it said, the Alex Jones deposition is now released on video, and it makes him look way worse than you would have even thought. And I was like, okay, he probably did better in that deposition than anyone expected then.
Yeah, that's unbiased media. There you go.
Yeah.
Doing their job.
Yeah. He brought. Oh God. And then they asked about the statement about. Do you think that? I don't know. I don't watch enough Alex Jones to know like the craziest things that he said. But they brought up and said, didn't you say that the children were faking being dead and that you saw them somewhere else? And then Jones just goes off on like a spiel, and he's like, hey. There were these Pakistani kids that were supposed to be dead in a bombing, but I saw them later on doing a photo op. And the opposing lawyer is like, what? It was really amazing.
I think I know what he's talking about.
But yeah, the Hamas kids that would, in the bombing, they would actually stage victims to get anger against Israel. And then later they would see those kids walking around just fine.
Right. And they'd see the same kid and the same mom in different pictures at different bombings. It was a different dead kid and a different mom with them.
Not to defend what Alex Jones is saying at all.
Oh, I defended 100%
about the shooter victims.
He apparently has recanted his perspective on Sandy Hook. Like I think he originally said it was a false flag, and then he changed his tune. What they're trying to actually peg him with, if I read, I haven't followed the court case since it went back to state court because it's harder to get the documents. But if what I remember their argument was, it's basically not that Alex Jones was saying the defamatory statements. It was that this guy that he interviewed is saying the defamatory statements, and Jones gave him a platform, which I think is horrifically dangerous. Right. To say that that's Jones's fault. Like, you didn't verify this. It's like, well, it's a guy coming on and ranting like a crazy man. If that's what he wants to do, then who am I to tell him no?
Well, they tried to trip him up with that guy. I can't remember the exact name, but they said, didn't he send you, this kind of blew my mind. They're like, didn't he send you 10,000 emails? And Jones is like, yes. And they're like, don't you know that he's insane? And he's like, well, he became a little perturbed with me after about number 4,000. So,
and the thing that ticks me off about that case, though, the real one that bothers me is how they got it back to. I know they're doing the deposition under Texas rules, but they put it back in Connecticut State Court, and the way they got it to Connecticut State Court was that the guy who he interviewed isn't from Connecticut. Alex Jones is obviously in Texas, but the guy who drove the guy he interviewed somewhere one time was from Connecticut. That defeated diversity jurisdiction and brought it out of federal court and back to state court. Even though the guy who They just said that the guy who drove him one time was like an actual employee, as opposed to just he drove me somewhere for one thing.
Yeah, yeah, and going back to did Jones change his position on the Sandy Hook thing? When he was talking, I mean, he a couple of times when they were asking questions, he's like, "Well, I'd get information, and then later on we'd find out that it wasn't true, and I'd walk back the statements."
Right.
But Jones was like, at the time, that's what we had to go on. And he brought up one thing I think Jones did smart during the conversation, because they kept giving him police reports, but the police reports had entire pages blacked out, and you could see it when he's flipping through it. And they're like, well, how if you had the information, how didn't you know this? How didn't you know this? And Jones kept going back to, well, they withheld information. We thought that meant there was a cover up. What we didn't know is, and we didn't find out until later on, is what they were covering up was their own incompetence on how they handled the crime scene, on how some of the detective work was handled. And he's like, look at the police report you gave me. 3 of the 5 pages are completely blacked out. So what do we have to work on? We know they admitted openly that they hid some stuff, and you can see this by the document I'm holding. So he's like, you're expecting me to know things I couldn't have possibly known. I only could work with what I had at the time.
Yeah, that's the best part is, well, if you had this information, then why didn't you have this? You still don't have it. Idiot. You just brought me a file that's redacted.
Right. So I'll let you jump back to your super chats. You still got 7 hours to catch up on. You're halfway there almost now on your 24 hour. Are you going to make it, do you think?
Right now I feel good. I feel like this is a bad decision, but I feel okay. We'll see.
We got to get through super chats though.
Once the once the Battletoads hit, I think we'll be good.
Yeah, that'll pick you up a little bit until you get really mad and decide, you know what, I'm gonna have a drink to relax. And then by hour 18, you're vomiting in a trash can, crying because you never should have agreed to this.
Yeah, my hair will be numb and my pants will be soaked.
There you go. All right, well, you guys have a good day. Good luck on your stream. I'm sure you can power through it and make it to 24 hours. And yeah, check out the Jones thing if you get a chance. It's real entertaining.
Will do, man. Thanks for popping on.
God bless you, Jim. See you.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
See you later. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Go to town, man. Get back to super chats. Pound them.
Yeah, you're keeping me on task. You're like a taskmaster here.
I'm protecting your business, buddy. You can't take money from these people and then be known as the guy who missed 8 hours of super chats.
No kidding. Eating some toast says, as a woman who works in a gym for years, the thoughts have gotten worse. Kunami 13 Sora. Yeah, you can get thrown out of a con for a picture. That's crazy. That's a public place and people in public. But okay. Rick Nikita says the Discord is only open to people who love deep dish pizza. No more Canadians either. They have to go back. So he wants a northern wall for the Frostbacks. No one important says a couple bucks to celebrate Ren being banned. Yeah, that's funny. Good job, Renfamous. Live under the rules you helped create.
Yep.
Conspiratorial Walnut says ban SJWs. They infect and ruin everything. Exclude. I don't know what to exclude. Holly Prissy Pants says red pill me on Moorish sovereign citizens. There is no red pill for the sovereign citizens. They only get the blue pill. Rhino says this is a 24-hour stream. Show the video for filler. I don't like showing video of anything else because the way people have been coming at
copyright strikes.
Yeah, they come at me, Tug, Flash, Hirohei. I've avoided copyright strikes because I largely do not show anything unless I know that I'm going to have permission to show it. I avoid it completely.
You're showing the video you own right now.
Yep, exactly. Evan Rogers says, speaking of who Jamie voices, ever heard of Rias Grimori? 10 out of 10 waifu. Shame she has to be voiced by garbage. She's from High School DxD, 10 out of 10 anime. I have heard of Rias only recently. No one important says, as a black guy, a lot of peeps want to touch the fro. Yeah, that's that one. That's that fun patronizing thing. One thing Drexel always gets is, how tall are you? Or, oh man, you're so tall. That type of stuff. And he used to have a very voluminous afro. Voluminous afro. And people would touch it and all that stuff.
Like if he sat in front of you in the theater, it was a full eclipse.
He's not rude. He would put that under a hat in the theater.
Okay. I'm 6'8", so I only block like 4 rows back.
Right. All the rows is how many you should
Yeah,
block.
there's a clean swipe behind me at every concert and at everything. Just like looks like an eclipse, just blotted out. Cone of silence. Keep going. Go.
Eyes of Maddie P on the road. Been in and out all night between customers. Stream is awesome. Drexel is based AF. Do this once a month, please. I'll be with you for a while this morning. I can't, man. I don't. This is already brutal. Eyes of the Wolf 101 says, those thoughts are performing a valuable service. Lol. Adelaide Holmes says, I may or may not pass out listening to this. Lol, but I am enjoying it for now. This is really interesting so far. Hopefully we're keeping that up. Brammerhammer23 says, I could listen to Drexel all day. It's refreshing to hear a black man with my views. Most of my black friends are very liberal. Thank you for showing up. Dice David, a feminist needs to learn to code before they can program consent into AI. We'll be all right. Oh, shots fired. Ouch. Ouch.
Hit him. Hit him.
Let's see. We've got Blue Samurai Zero says, a plague on black communities and the poor is churches teaching, quote, if you give a seed offering, then God will bless you. It destroys desperate people, and the Bible doesn't say it. It's similar to the Galatian error heresy, popular everywhere. Because people they don't want to read Job the way Job is written, and they want to think that God punishes based on actions and rewards based on good behavior. And
good, Nick.
It's the opposite of what Job is saying.
Sometimes the reward for virtue is suffering.
Yeah, and sometimes
all right, go, man.
Sometimes fortune falls upon the wicked. That's just how it goes. S4 Juliet says, Camille Paglia thinks women should regard men with a mix of gratitude and fear. Thoughts? I don't know. I guess.
We'll take respect. That's all. A little respect.
Yeah. Hey, respect is the key.
Aretha Franklin would agree with that for women too. A little respect is all we need, everybody.
Also, this is my first chat ever. Thank you so much. Been watching since the Comicsgate stuff. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for watching for so long. I appreciate it. Crusader Saracen says, just got off my evening shift and God has gifted me with a 24-hour Rekieta Law ASMR background noise live stream as I sleep. F yeah, son. Thank you. Happy to be of service. Let's see. Eyes of the... Wait, no. Where are we? Holy cats. Drifter Comics says 60K subscriber ASMR stream confirmed. No. Sinrius Asari says correlation to high divorce rates. Maybe. I don't remember what we were talking about, but thank you. Eyes of the Wolf 101 says, do you hear it? It's the sound of inevitability. That's a nice Matrix quote there. Revuel Arvita, 50 Shades of Grey Nights. 50 Shades of Grey Nights. Crazy says, my boyfriend thinks I can't super chat, proving him wrong. Always prove him wrong in that. Also, love your streams. The silence angers Slanesh, so keep entertaining our ear holes. Happy to diddle your ear holes. E.M. Dubois says, hearing this, I'd love a review for my novel, Nick. Maybe. I don't have a ton of time to read these days.
It's only 6,000 pages.
It's maybe you've heard of it. My name is Proust, and it's a brief history on time. Yeah. Evelyn Meza, thank you for the donation. Coleman Gaugren says Drexel's take on men versus women are great. Awesome stream. Thank you. James Gibbons, have you read The Names of the Wind by Pat Rothfuss? No. Name of the Wind. No, I have not that I can remember. Alan Rees says, in the 80s, feminists disrespected and undermined the housewife. The most beautiful and respectful thing ever is a housewife.
Amen.
Steph Dev says, Terry Crews can only be black as President Camacho. I agree with that. Best black president is President Mountain Dew Camacho. Woodman Gaming says, since I'm in the area, could I drop in? I don't know. Do you know where I mean, I know we've met at some point, but I don't know who you are that well.
He means your bedroom at 2 a.m.
It was 4 a.m., to be fair.
Oh, okay. Close enough.
Mohammed Uzair Bahadi. Hey, Drex, people are trying to get those oppression points by being black. But do you really think that being black should be a black person's #1 defining quality? I think he would say no. Absolutely not. Baron Nathan Dean says, friends for 25 years, had a good run, so time to pack it in and call it quits. No. Keep those old friends. They're the people who have stuck with you this long. Lancelot 652, currently listening to y'all while working, loving the stream. Thank you. Ryan Gordon, man, I couldn't do this for 24 hours. Props to you two. Apparently, neither could Drexel. Had to go take a nap.
Low T.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll make fun of him when he comes back. Kakalutsu Tuzaru says, read as Kakalot Ozaru. Hey, Nick, what is this? He brings his phone into my office and then leaves it ringing. Been following since the Vic Mignogna case. Keep fighting the good fight. I will, good sir. Johnny Olson, congrats on 50K subs, buddy. Yang Yang 2020, let's get these neat bucks, fam.
You gotta translate. I need a translation.
Andrew Yang is running for president in 2020. And
Okay.
he has suggested a universal basic income of something like $1,000 a month. And now people are sending him Venmo requests and stuff every month for their $1,000. So
The good news is you might get rid of the IRS, but that's the only bright side I see to that one.
they can't fire all of the government, so they can't get rid of the IRS.
Sure.
Too many people would be unemployed the next day. Ryan Gordon says, women say they hate men, but for real, they can't go long without the D. Jonathan Canfield says, first super chat. Thank you, buddy. Finally made it to a live stream. Glad I found your awesome channel. Keep up the good work. I will try. I appreciate it. Listless Azure says, Drex's opinion on people who make entire identity pronouns. And if agree that people are actually verbs, what are we do not claim? We are what we do not claim. There you go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for me reading that properly the second time. Ale Mario 91 says, honks for the honk god, honkers rise up, clown world. Yellow Flash 2 says, I support the Human Instrumentality Project. Kenneth Robertson says, Ty and Vic need security at the convention. There will be security at the convention. The Big Red Bear says, I hate the term MGTOW and things like that. I've largely stayed single despite options to the contrary, because almost everyone I know got divorced or separated, and the guy got effed on the way out. That's unfortunately, that's how a lot of guys have experienced that system. It's really a shame.
Tort reform.
Divorce tort reform?
Sure.
We need to add fault back into divorce.
I'd be for that. Sure.
Yeah, I'm 100% for that. I think no fault divorce is a disaster.
Yeah, even the Bible says for infidelity you have a right to divorce. I'm just saying there's stuff you can go, and the women might benefit from that, by the way. So I'm just trying to find a more fair principle, not trying to get equal outcome, but an equal principle that we operate under. Well,
I think when people know that they can just walk away if you're not fighting over significant amounts of money or children, you can you can divorce for relatively cheap, especially if you guys can agree on it, and you just say, well, didn't work out, we had a good run, peace.
Yeah, and that changes the definition of marriage. We're not allowed to just say we have a brand new definition of marriage. Marriage is a lifetime commitment unless there's infidelity or abuse between one man and one woman.
Yeah, what's
there's lady rackets up there?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, baby.
Yay.
Yeah, I'll pop off to the side.
Got to squeeze some family time in there in the 20. You can't be 24 hours kids without a dad. We got to keep the family going, guys. He's got to do a little bit of maintenance work. Little love, little hug goes
now
a long
get out of
way.
my office, you cute little baby.
Get out of here. You're tearing my heart up.
Let's see. Yep, she's good now.
Fine.
Wooter Van Putin says, there is a Miami rap scene that makes money by scamming IRS refunds and raps about it. That's fantastic.
I'm kind of for that.
Real Spider Phantom says, good morning, good luck, and good morning, good luck, and all the dark circles to you. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but I'm with it. Viziki says, hey, Nick, first discovered you when you and EVS listen to that guy have a one-way debate against a non-present Vox Day. Keep up the great work. He really did take Vox Day to task in that conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Cesario JPN says, not IRA, but a rap song exists about cryptocurrency. John Oliver joked the slang used in crypto could be in rap songs. Hashtag hodl gang, hodl gang, hodl gang. Jack Beaver says, Elizabeth Warren wants on, check for smoke signals. Just portions of smoke signals, though.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll have a beer. I think I'll have a beer with my husband in the kitchen. That's my favorite Elizabeth Warren quote.
Oh, she's horrible.
Yeah.
Just a dearth of charisma.
I love that video though of her like faking wanting a beer to try and be one of the people. She's like, you know what? I think I'll have a beer. She says right into the camera, and there's, oh, my husband is here. Hello, husband.
Oh, good Lord.
It was like Stepford wife level SJW. All right, go.
Snarkticon DM says, I bet Mars Girl's cat committed suicide. I actually feel a little bad for Mars Girl because of her cat was clearly important to her and it died, and that's always sad.
That is sad.
It's Hodel with a long O. Okay, thank you. Kunami13 Sora says, there are VAs who turn on each other for staying neutral. One of my fellow VAs tried to tell me and spread to our work that I was a rape sympathizer because I refused to condemn Vic based on nothing. Man, that's a brutal place to be.
Virtue signaling among vets, we're not for that, but that happens everywhere.
Kenny Hammett says, not Veterans Affairs, voice actor.
Voice actors, even better.
Yeah.
Well, and I know all the voice acting community, they're very close, and it's weird. It really surprised me how they came out against Vic. I'd never seen that before in all of voice acting. Never.
No one,
anything like it.
No one has. I did a recorded video on Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was going through a contract and talking about how, there's nothing to really, like, it's a breach of contract to do all these things, but there's no pre-agreed remedies. There's no liquidated damages. Right. And it's because they've never dealt with this before.
Well, it was so weird when I first saw it. I might have, when I was on your show, I semi-impugned Vic's character. I didn't come to a conclusion, but I said, this is suspect. And
right.
I shouldn't have done that. I got to take that back on your show here.
Sure.
In the name of Vic, because after reading all of the other voice actors' tweets and stuff, I just went, this is a setup. This is a setup. I was wrong. I got it wrong.
And see, it is really tempting to, if you're just casually observing, a lot of people ask it this way. I mean, well, there's a lot of accusations, or there's a lot of this going on, and it doesn't make sense because the people doing the accusing are acting irrationally. They're either honest or irrational. Those are the two options. And until you start really seeing the irrationality come through over and over again, you have to conclude, well, this almost has to be the case. Otherwise, all of these people are acting way outside of the bounds of normal behavior.
Yeah, it doesn't clear Vic and make him innocent, but it definitely brings suspect to their yelling at him and stuff, because it's clearly something emotional and something else is going on with this person. And so it starts to sound like either mass gaslighting by a big group trying to control what the internet thinks, or it's their emotions just coming unglued. And there's no place for that when you're going after a man's career. There's no place for hatred, revenge, emotion, all that stuff. I'm very suspect of, because we all know what the human heart's made of.
Yep.
Got to be sober about it. And Vic has the right to a good, sober, clear thinking, who said what, when, what are the contracts type of thinking when you're destroying a man's ability to provide and make an income. We're not about that. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but, if you're talking about taking away productivity, because for many people, you'll see this with guys who retire, you'll see this with people who become disabled and unable to work. I mean, it's in a lot of ways, it's a death sentence. For men who have worked their whole lives, it's a death sentence. And if we're going to be there better be court, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like you can't just, well, this was years ago though. Like, well, wait a minute. I mean, if we can't test this, then you might have just missed the window. Because how do we verify?
And the default has to be for everybody, including both sides, a presumption of innocence. The idea that we would mistry anyone who's innocent and make them guilty is a greater horror even than a guilty person getting off, is the legal theory. That's the presumption of innocence.
Right.
Everyone has a right to that. You can't come in and say you're guilty first, and now let's just line up the facts and put you to rest.